Okay, great. So I have some questions, but I also invite questions from the audience. So write them down and pass them along if you have them. In the meantime, I wanted to make a point that those who teach in some way, and I would say all of us sitting up here on the platform do teach in some way, we often are just avid students, and that there's no such thing as perfection. I so often want to tell people when they seem to feel really guilty that they're using plastic food containers. They act like, oh, I'm so bad, you're not going to approve because I'm using plastic. It's really a common reaction I encounter. And I say, I use plastic too, I just avoid it when I can. There's so many times I can, but there's no judgment. And I think in the conversations I've had with everyone on this platform, in the conversations, this idea has always come up. None of us are perfect. Melisse said on the phone, you know, I'm no perfect role model. I live in Manhattan and I enjoy living here. And Dr. Lipman, if you could talk about your routines. I love that you talked about Monday to Thursday and Friday to Sunday, but you have good days and you have bad days.
Well, yeah, my routine is survival. I have to, I work really hard. I love what I do, so it's all easy on that level. I love seeing patients. I love inspiring people, scaring them a little bit to make changes. So I do that from Monday through Thursday, and then I don't know how people work 5 days a week. I have to go and recoup, and especially I'm 62 years old. I don't have the energy I had when I was 40 years old. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I need to go out to the country, ride my bike, spend time at the beach, have my sauna, do stuff that I need to recover in a way. I don't see it as a choice, to be quite honest. I have to be a role model. It's not very good if I'm telling people to be healthy and I'm not healthy. So, it's just an automatic thing for me. I have to do it. It's not, I made a choice long when I first started practicing. I mean, maybe this is more interesting, that I'm not going to work 5 days a week. That I'm in this for the long haul, and I've never worked on a Friday. Although I work, I'm writing, I'm doing it. It's not that I'm not working, I'm just not seeing patients. So, but I made that decision a long time ago, and maybe then, in my youth, I'd sort of decided I wanted to have that work-life balance, but now it's survival.
I laughed and felt better hearing you talk about, on a good day, when you wake up, you meditate.
Yeah.
On a bad day, you go to your computer.
Yeah,
and I thought I could relate to going to the computer first thing in the morning.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'd love to say I meditate every day, and I know when I meditate I feel better, and I think it's better for my patients when I meditate. I'm in a much better place. But I'm human. Same as sugar. Sugar's the devil, but I like my sugar too. So it's the same thing. For the most part, I try and meditate every day. But there are many days I get up and I just go straight to the computer. I mean, there are a lot of things that I do. I don't, my electronic sundown. I have my phone. I'll stay away from. But I'm human. But I do the best, and I think that's what we all can do. You just do the best you can. And I think what you've learned today, which is my philosophy. There are many entry points into wellness. There's the food in a way or exercise may be the easiest entry points, because when you change your diet, you have a subjective sensation of feeling good, and you want to stay feeling like that. Exercise is one way. After 45 minutes, you can feel so much better, and you go, wow, I can feel like that. There are not that many things that you can do that quickly that make you feel good. So I think exercise and food are great entry points, but many people that I see eat very well and exercise and still feel like crap. So it's complicated. Health is very complicated. It's very individualized. There's no one way, no one size fits all.
And it's probably dynamic, right?
And it changes. You develop adaptability. You know, I see I'm going, now that I've been doing this for so long, I'm going back to my Chinese medicine roots. For so many years, I was trying to fit my Chinese medicine philosophy into a Western way of thinking. And as I get older, I'm realizing that the Chinese way that I got taught, that we ecosystems, you know, we microcosms of the macrocosms. And the human body is an ecosystem. And within us are multiple ecosystems. And how do you keep working with that ecosystem? How do you keep that balance in you as an ecosystem in this larger ecosystem? So yeah, it's about adapting. And you know, when you fall off the wagon, you brush yourself off and you get back on the wagon. So life's a journey. It's never going to be perfect, and enjoy it.
Thank you. So I'm just going to go down the row with some questions about what you wish you knew sooner about certain things. So, Dr. Lipman, we'll just start with you. What do you wish you knew sooner about our gut?
About our gut? Yeah, well, I think what I wish sooner about our gut, first of all, it affects every aspect of your health. But I sort of knew that. I learned that in Chinese medicine, sort of forgot it. What I knew sooner is it's pure guesswork. Whatever tests you think are out there to measure what's going on, it's all clinical. You've got to listen to what's going on yourself. It's very hard to know what's going on with your gut. And once again, it's an ecosystem. It's not about, even I used to write about good guys and bad guys. It's so much more complicated than that. You know, we have more bacteria in our gut than we have cells in our body. We're more bacterial than human. And it's all about how do you live with this ecosystem within you. And you've got to respect that. And you can't just blast it with chemicals or antibiotics and not think that if you put junk into the ecosystem that it's going to not affect you. So I see myself as a gardener, which I got taught in Chinese medicine early on. How do you keep that ecosystem in balance and work with it? Because they're good guys and bad guys, and those bad guys can be good guys too. So it's very, very complicated. So much more complicated than even I thought 5 years ago. The more work I do with the gut, I realize we know nothing. It's the infancy of our understanding of the gut. That's where we are at the moment. And if anyone thinks there's one way to treat it, that's nonsense. There's no one size fits all. It's just how do you live with your personal ecosystem in your gut, on your skin, your blood brain. There are all these ecosystems. And so I've got to the point, maybe I'm getting older and more philosophical about things. I'm realizing that life's about living with how do you live with all these ecosystems and communities. This is an ecosystem. Manhattan's an ecosystem. But the gut is a major ecosystem that we all have to learn to live with and not get freaked out about it, and watch what you put into it, whether it's drugs or food or chemicals or love. I mean, you know, our ecosystem in the gut is affected by how we sleep, by how we exercise. You know, we now know, I love it when science is proving what we've sort of known for millennia. We know now if you exercise more, you get more diversity in your organisms, which is what you want. If you're stressed out, there's less diversity. So, you know, it's how do we live with this ecosystem? Sorry, I can go on and on.
I love it. Would you talk about the gut-brain superhighway?
Yeah, I think there's a superhighway between the gut and our brain called the vagus nerve, which transports all these chemicals to your brain. You know, we think, you know, I have the psychiatrist I work with here, Ellen Vora, who I love. Hi, Ellen. So we think that depression, or, you know, everyone thinks depression is a serotonin deficiency, or you don't have enough serotonin. There's more serotonin made in your gut than made in your brain. 70% is made in your gut. So how you treat your gut is going to affect how you feel. And, you know, I see this all the time. A lot of people come in depressed and anxious, and you start fixing their gut, and their depression and anxiety get better. So these bugs in your gut are making all these chemicals. Serotonin is just one of them. And all those chemicals are then going to your brain. And it's going to affect how you sleep, how you think, your moods. So I'm a big believer in treating the gut. So to this idea that we have in the Western world, in Western medicine, if you're depressed, here's a pill for it, is like, God, get over it. I mean, it's like, it's so superficial. It's such, and then you get given drugs that cause all other sorts of problems. So, once again, it's how do we create a more balanced ecosystem where the bugs in your gut are creating chemicals that are positive or anti-inflammatory, and rather than inflammatory or creating anxiety and depression. So, yeah, it's I'm big on the gut.
And what do you wish you knew sooner about aging?
About aging? I wish I wasn't as arrogant in my youth, thinking I could, I screwed up my knee when I was younger. I mean, talking about cannabis, I smoked a little bit too much when I was younger. So I never rehabilitated my knee properly, so now I can't do certain exercises. I've had to make a lot of adjustments because I thought I knew everything, and the more you do it, you realize how little you know. I just thought I didn't think about aging. I didn't think that when you get to 50 years old, 40 years old, or whatever it is, things change. So if there's one regret, it's let go of the arrogance of, the eternal youth. Also let go of this belief that health is this, health is dynamic. Our health changes. What I see as healthy now is different for when I was 30 years old. And most people, unfortunately, particularly women, think they need to be as they view their health of what a 30-year-old someone healthy, a 30-year-old person is as healthy. So, what was the question?
Aging. What you wish you knew sooner about
I wish I wasn't as arrogant, and I just sort of a little bit wiser and understood that things change. My body's going to change. My attitude to life is going to change. That I would be, now I want to be a healthy grandparent. 20 years ago, I just wanted to be enjoying my daughter. Now I want to enjoy her kids. So, yeah, I suppose arrogance, if I had to choose one word.
Thank you. Melisse, what do you wish you knew sooner about being well and good?
Oh, my goodness. I want the gut question and the aging question, too.
I can come back to you.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I think that there's something about being a perpetual learner. I mean, as a journalist, you're kind of hardwired for that anyway. And I think being really open to seeing, what science has to offer. We didn't know a ton about the gut. The gut, I mean...
Still don't.
We still don't.
Yeah.
And like every week on the site, there's something mind-blowing that happens. And our health editor is like, it's another story about the gut. Is that okay? I'm like, it's okay. We all kind of care about it. I feel like constantly learning about what people outside of science are doing too is equally important. There's a lot of stuff that can be written off by science. Peer-reviewed studies aren't for everything. And there's a lot of people doing really good work. I guess meditation is a great example. I mean, that's something that's very recently been studied. And, we know it makes people feel better. We know it makes Frank's patients happier when he meditates. For me, it's very interesting, even though I was in the spa world and I was trying every kind of amazingly interesting healing practice around the world, it was really hard for me to sort of think about how to do that at home and how to provide access to people, through Well and Good at first. But now, actually, where we are in this wellness revolution, it's become quite easy. People are really sharing their knowledge. I'm really able to sort of take on more personally from the things that we've covered at Well and Good. For example, I mix amazing blends of superfoods into my drinks in the morning, or some grass-fed butter into my coffee. And I'll meditate, especially on the days I can't squeeze in a workout. It's sort of like I've figured out ways to do this for myself. And I think that like everybody is really interested in that right now. And that it isn't just for the wellness cognoscenti, like those in this room, that it's really for the wellness curious. And those are the people who are waiting for their wellness wake-up call. And so I think coming up with amazing, interesting content for those people that can, provide that awakening is really what gets me inspired every day. And I think that's what fires up our readers too, and has been why Well and Good has been such a success, that people really identify with the relatability of it. It's not preachy, it's not shamey, it's not judgy. It's really fun, and it's like what women talk to each other about in their personal lives. So I think that's incredibly fulfilling and incredibly needed. As I said, Alexi and I created the outlet that we felt we needed for ourselves, but bigger than us. We want everyone to have access to that. Hopefully
Did you and Alexia start out just creating stuff you wanted? Were you your own target market?
Yeah, I mean, we thought if we could be the healthy person's New York Magazine, like done. And that was back in 2010. But what we saw was we weren't even a full year in when 70% of our website traffic was coming from outside of New York City. So at the time, we were really just writing about wellness culture here and interviewing, pioneers and openings and trends. But it was really something that people wanted access to outside of New York. So yeah, there was definitely a wave.
Thank you.
I just want to say something that Melisse talked about, which I think is really important for everyone to understand. We have this belief in our culture of what I call scientific materialism, that you actually have to measure something for it to be true or for it to work. But what you realize is, how do you measure love? How do you measure community? How do you measure when someone hugs you and you feel better, or you're walking in nature and you feel better, or you're listening to music? There are no studies. We all know that affects us. There are no studies to prove that. So I think we also got to open up the way of thinking about, what works or what's good for you. It's way beyond what the science community has measured and told us is good for us. I'm not going to, as I always say, I'm not going to wait for science to confirm that gluten is bad for a lot of people. We know that. I'm not going to confirm that listening to music or walking on the beach or in the nature. So I think it's important to realize, just because science doesn't acknowledge it or endorse it doesn't mean it doesn't work. If it works for you, that's all you need to know.
Thank you. Melanie, what do you wish you knew sooner about exercise and the soul?
I've been trying to think, what is she going to ask?
I know.
Out of your body,
We didn't get these questions beforehand.
Exactly. Exercise in the soul. I mean, I think as someone who worked out my entire life, I always felt better afterward, but I didn't realize that you could tie exercise and the endorphins and community into something that's much more spiritual and personal. I've always felt like meditation was too hard for me to ground my brain, and I've tried many, many times to do that. And the idea that you can take exercise and make it meditative and make it transformational and make it very personal at scale was certainly something 5 years ago when I got involved in the business we weren't sure that we could do. We thought this was something that was small and very personal and probably would only work in New York and Los Angeles, because we also thought, well, this is something that's sort of advanced if you really understand what it is that we're doing, and so it's probably something that's very special, only meant for related properties in marquee markets. And and I think what that's done is, we started opening 3 studios a year and then 8 studios a year, and last year we did 18 studios a year, and I think that's served us really well to start small and make sure that every community is authentic and it's special and it's grounded and it's thoughtful and it's cast with the right characters. From our instructors to our operators, we've been really careful with that. But it's certainly something that I've learned, that this is something that is transformative and highly personal and very scalable and really needed in the world. I don't know that I would have done anything differently, but I do think that the idea of not being arrogant and continuing to learn and to listen is so important. And oftentimes, I think leaders think you have to have a vision and you have to know what the consumer wants before they want it. And I think there's absolutely a place for that. But I think what has made us successful is that we do listen and we ask our riders, where do you think we should open next? And that's part of our real estate process. We have our plan and then we listen from them. Or if we're going to launch a new product or a new class or a retail collection, we want to know what they think, and it does inform decisions that we make in the future. So I think staying close to the business and staying close to the customer and staying close to the experience has been so important. Harder to do the bigger you get, but something that with exercise and soul and this transformative experience, something that our team sort of challenges each other to do every day is just stay as close to the ground as possible.
I was late to try SoulCycle because we started a family about 10 years ago, and I've been busy with the kids and working a lot, and yoga is my thing. But I tried my first SoulCycle class a few months ago, and what was strange was all the friendliness and eye contact and just connection, and even in the room on the bikes. And I'm struggling through the class because I don't do a lot of cardio, and I start crying and get emotional, and I'm thinking, no, not me too. But you've really created a special formula, and there's so many people I come across who talk about breaking down in a SoulCycle class in a beautiful, transformative way. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Greg, what do you wish you knew sooner about creating instincts and our dreams?
That's really tough one.
I know.
I'm going to give the anti-answer. I'm going to give the anti-answer in that, part of innovation is about sort of having a path and constantly thinking about new things. So I don't know if I wanted to know everything before. I love the path. I love that for the past 10 years, you've been influencing me, and I've been at a company which has been open to innovation and letting me try crazy things and backing me up on our group. Charlotte, I've learned so much from Charlotte and her group, and then being able to constantly innovate and do new things, right? So I think actually I really enjoyed the path, and I continue to, what I've learned also is that you keep going, it doesn't stop, right? And that's what, it doesn't matter that I didn't know all these healthy things 10 years ago. I did unhealthy things like everyone else did, but we move on and we'll get healthier in the future. So that's my answer.
And I want to say how wonderful it is to see how influential women have become in this world, especially in the wellness world, because they bring a completely different perspective, attitude, and it's more of that yin yang. There's less of the male yang go get it attitude, and more of the female attitude. So thank you guys for me to see all this happening is like, I often want to cry, but to see the female energy come into the wellness world, I think is fantastic. And so thanks all of you, because it's the women who influence us. So obviously it happened to Greg, but I think keep spreading the yin energy out into the world.
Great. Done. Yeah, I'm done.